Hey everyone, good morning, and welcome to another edition of Marketing Insights. Well, it's morning where I am, so good hello to you, whatever time it is, whatever time of day you're watching this, or time of night. And today we are going to go over something that I find very, very interesting, and that is the actual use cases or marketing use cases of decentralized cryptocurrencies. Some of them are centralized more than others. We're going to talk about cryptocurrency projects, cryptocurrency products and services that are currently on the market, and why it is that they're using the marketing strategies that they're using, and why it is that those particular types of products are the early adopters that we see on the market right now, and what does the future hold for other products and services that are going to be based around cryptocurrencies and the blockchain, right? By the way, obviously, if you know anything about cryptocurrency, you probably also know the blockchain is not the only solution, right? There's other decentralized blockchains or networks that are not blockchain related, right? If you look at the way that it's constructed, a blockchain is basically a very long link of information that just keeps getting heavier over time. That's one of the reasons there's all this hubbub over that tech, but that's for a separate episode. We're talking today about marketing use cases. And in cryptocurrency, whether you know this or not, the most popular applications of cryptocurrency are decentralized exchanges, right? That's where people can buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrencies without a third party interfering. So you don't have a state authority or a financial institution or something like New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. They're not sitting on top of your head. It's basically a peer-to-peer way to exchange directly through an exchange. The exchange itself is not a government or an authority of any kind. It's just a platform where users can log on and exchange Anyway, that is the most popular form of decentralized and cryptocurrency applications. And the reason for that is very simple. The overwhelming majority of money moving through cryptocurrency types is the money moved by traders, investors, people who hodl, right? People who just buy to hold and are hoping for the long term to bear fruit. So if you're doing that at a large level, you're spending, thousands of dollars here, hundreds of dollars there, whatever it is amount of money you're spending, but you're spending significant chunks of cash. And obviously bigger investors are moving millions and billions of dollars every day across different cryptocurrencies, all in all. And just Bitcoin itself moves some 4 billion a day. Obviously it's the largest, but if you add up all the other ones, it's another several billion. So we're talking an $8 to $10 billion daily trading volume. That's quite significant out of a $200 billion market. It's still in its infancy because, let's say, the value of cryptocurrency is 200 to 220 billion, whatever that number is. In fact, it's not that it matters, but you can go look it up on CoinMarketCap. But recently, it's been hovering around the 200 billion mark for the whole market, and that 200 billion. If only 8 billion of it is being used and a significant portion of it through trading, that tells you a lot about the lackluster, let's just say, performance of many crypto projects that have promised you the moon and delivered you the dirt beneath your feet, right? If that. Because the dirt was there already. They didn't have to program that. But, decentralized exchanges are super popular because they're decentralized. They have lower fees. Some have practically no fees. You're paying, directly the money to the recipient. The recipient gets it directly from the seller. They're wonderful. Therefore, it makes a lot of sense. It's also usually the first foray that people get into crypto. It might be through Binance. It might be through probably very likely Coinbase. It might be through, Gemini. There's no shortage of places you might be entering crypto. the likelihood is you're entering it through an exchange, because that's where you're going to first buy the first crypto you get. And then from there, you're going to keep exchanging dollars for crypto, euros for crypto, yen for crypto, whatever. You're going to be buying in, your cryptos, and it makes a lot of sense that that is currently where there's the largest amount of money. Now, how do they market that? Well, they market it very simply. They market it by aggressive, offers to recruit people on board. So sometimes if you sign up to a site like Coinbase or Binance or one of these other, or one of the truly decentralized exchanges that are developing, they'll offer you some tokens in exchange for signing up, or they'll offer you a reduced rate of a fee for exchanging. So, for example, if you use Binance and you buy their BNB tokens, and you use their BNB tokens as sort of the intermediary currency to change from, one cryptocurrency or one form of money to another, and then they reduce your fee, for the first several months. It's a very, very low fee, practically nothing. And even after they raise it to their nominal fee, it's still fairly low. So they use the marketing price points that they know by data will appeal to the trader, especially to the new trader. So they make sure that traders feel warm and welcome. And that's why, among other things, they have a very high rate of return on what they've been building so far, and a very high profitability. Arguably, they also have a nice chunk of cash being built up because they allegedly charge significant quantities of money in order to be listed on Binance. And they're certainly not the only exchange that apparently do that. So it can cost thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and apparently even millions of dollars to list on an exchange. And while that seems outrageously expensive, and it may be, the amount of money that one spends to list on an exchange is frankly over the long term negligible, right? Because if they're a good currency, or if they have a lot of trading volume over a period of months or years in front of them, they will quickly regain that expenditure, and it should not really affect their financials too badly if they're not, overspending on the listing. And that's why you'll see a lot of new coins that have a deep sea of money in their reserves spend money on getting listed in listings, because they know if they're on a listing in an exchange, they're much more likely to see heavier trading volume, obviously, right? If they're not on the listing in the exchange, it's harder to find them, it's harder to buy their tokens, and therefore people won't buy them. But people will buy, more often than not, the coins they see on big exchanges. That's why those exchanges exist, because they realize that. Why does the New York Stock Exchange exist? Well, where else are you going to buy all those stocks conveniently in one place, right? That's a great place. Why does the NASDAQ exist? Well, where else are you going to find all those wonderful stocks that are on the NASDAQ, right? So it makes sense. They're using the same tried and true principles for marketing these asset types that have been used, for a very long time now in all kinds of other asset classes, stocks, bonds, options, whatever, on different exchanges. So it makes sense that decentralized exchanges are the number one most successful marketing use case of cryptocurrency to date. Will that number one position stay fixed? Arguable. It may not. It may be that other apps will soon take over the high spot. And why and how could that happen if there's so much trading volume by percentage going through exchanges? Well, we're at a very early stage right now of development, right? If Bitcoin is 10 years old, right, came out it was developed, let's just say 2008 is really when it launched, even if it was in development for a couple of years before that. I remember in 2009, I was already doing, I think in January 2009, I was already doing mining on GPUs and things like that. If you look up one of my older GitHub repositories, you'll see me there from 2009 with some interesting stuff there back then. But anyway, the second most popular type of dAPP that's currently going on the market is probably not a surprise. It is games and gaming, right? Well, games and gaming makes a lot of sense. Crypto kitties and other popular games that you can go online and spend a little bit of cryptocurrency to play. A lot of them are built around the idea of in-app purchases, so the expenses feel almost like they're not even there. There's even, there's browsers now. There's like the Brave browser. If you haven't tried Brave, it's definitely an interesting browser to try. They have a built-in mechanism that lets you automatically pay as you want. It's not required. It's optional. You can flick a little switch that lets you distribute cryptocurrencies to the sites you like and the sites you spend the most time on. And it also lets you not pay certain other sites. If you happen to get to a site that you don't like, you can say, no, I don't want to give money to this site. But that way, if you block, let's say, ads from, I don't know, a news site, CNN or Fox or whatever you watch, doesn't matter, New York Times or whatever country you're in, whatever news site you like to watch a lot, if there's like 50 ads on that site all the time, well, Brave is very good about blocking ads. If you don't like to see the ads, you can easily block them. And it even keeps a tally and shows you how many ads you blocked and how much faster your site browser is than other browsers. And it's quite remarkable. I definitely check it out. It's an interesting piece of software, and it's very much crypto based. And the beauty of it is, even if you block ads on the sites you like, you can still donate to them so that you're not you don't feel like you're ripping them off, right? Because why do they put ads there? They put ads there because they need the revenue, and they're hoping that by clicking on some ad, you'll be contributing to the revenue stream. And so what if you don't like ads? You just want to get rid of it, but you're still happy to give them a few pennies here and there just to be fair. That kind of browser lets you do that. And that's not even a game, that's just a browser. But in that browser, you can obviously play many crypto-related games, just like you could in any other browser, except Brave is sort of more fixed and built around the crypto idea. But again, there's games like CryptoKitties. There's a bunch of games in development. Some of them are free, some of them are not. I remember I was working on a free-to-play with in-app purchases. It was a social 3D VR game. It was based around casino playing, but it's not actually a real casino game, right? The only money you spend are crypto tokens inside the game. So it's, easier for them to market, easier for them to get to broader reach in the US and elsewhere, because they don't have the issue of being an actual casino. They're just a social game. And games of any type, whether it's that or whether it's CryptoKitties or is going to be Crypto Dolphins or I don't know what there's going to be next, but many wonderful game developers are building games, and those are the second most popular type of app, or dAPP, right now. The reason, again, that the marketers are using those as the use cases is because they're easy to develop relatively, at least the basic ones. Remember Flappy Bird? I think it was developed in like a day or something or maybe 2 days by the guy that wrote it. He said it really didn't take him a long time at all. Some hours of code and he was done, and it became this wildfire thing that everyone downloaded. So there's no reason that you need to spend millions of dollars to develop a game. If you have the right game, it can become super popular, and that can be a very strong marketing use case for whatever company is trying to build out something else with their resources, whether it's gameplay or whether it's any other kind of thing they're looking to build. Maybe they're building not just a game brand, maybe the game is just a foray into something else, but games are an easy magnet to attract a lot of users, to get high retention if the game is good, right? And to get strong lifetime value if you have a smart way of collecting the cryptocurrency. And then so that makes a lot of sense, right? That explains why games and gaming, the adventure of going online and playing video games or playing them on your phone or whatever you do, it makes a lot of sense that those will be the quickest to adopt the technology. Also, video gamers tend to be, well, they still are a little bit, of a younger audience, right? So, not a bunch of old fogies anyway, although there are plenty of old fogies playing video games, but, the predominant nature of the video game culture is youth. And youth are very adaptable to technology changes. As a result, they're much more likely to try new things like games built around cryptocurrency. And that's why that marketing methodology works, and that's why it has been working to date. And even the older, even the games designed to attract older players with more expendable cash, they're playing a lot to the young at heart, right? You might be 55 years old and gaming an hour or two every day. chances are you're feeling younger at heart than your counterpart, who's just a grizzled old, I don't know, whatever he is or she is, doesn't like to play video games, feels, might be 55, but feels 85. Whereas you might be 55 playing an hour or two of video games, and you really feel like you're 35 in your heart, right? There's a reason for that, right? It's all in the mindset. And marketers realize this mindset, and they make the most of it, and that's how they help to move more money in the crypto sphere into their projects, by appealing to that younger mindset and saying, look, this change is coming, this change is inevitable, be a part of it. It's not all just hype, right? It's not all just BS. There's a lot of super useful cryptocurrencies. I would argue Stellar is probably one of the most useful and undervalued cryptocurrency. I'm not advising anyone to buy any cryptocurrency, but I just personally think that Stellar has a brilliant model. For those who don't know about it, and I can hear the comments already coming, but Stellar is like Ripple and it's based on the same XRP and all this. Okay, yeah, fine. We're not here to talk about the tech today. We're here to talk about the marketing methods. I think that Stellar's marketing method of being useful as a B2B token is extremely smart and highly undervalued at this rate. And I think in some years' time, probably you'll be looking on the back of this video thinking, wow, I could have bought Stellar tokens for less than $1. Like, they may never be worth thousands of dollars because they may never become something that the public is massively aware of. They may just be using tokens and not necessarily knowing what they're based on. That's true. But the value of those tokens will grow, I believe, significantly over time, because the nature of those B2B tokens is entirely driven by large corporations who need to use some kind of cryptocurrency in order to enable massive amounts of payments going back and forth at lightning fast speeds on a regular basis in order to enable products and services that they will use to generate, just enormous amounts of money, right? IBM is not a stupid company, and all these other, Oracle and all these, any huge company that's out there that might ever use something like Stellar now or in the future. These large enterprises, they're full of intelligent people, and they know exactly what they're doing and how to grow their businesses further, regardless of your opinion about them. These companies have been around a long time, and they're going to be around a long time unless some horrible, unpredicted disaster happens to them. May not happen. So keep in mind that a lot of tokens and cryptocurrencies that are currently seen as, that's a peculiar altcoin, maybe it's interesting, but it's not the top 5, or it's not the top 3, right? It's not Bitcoin, it's not Ethereum, it's not whatever you consider the third, Litecoin or Cardano or Monero, or have your pick, Ripple, I don't care, have your pick, whatever that crypto is to you that you think is number 3. Stellar is somewhere, maybe it's top 5, maybe it's top 10, maybe it's top 50. In terms of the mind, the appeal to the mind of the average consumer, right? It might be more popular among individual traders, but again, less so with the everyday user of cryptocurrency who may not even be aware that they're using a game built on Stellar, right? And there are many of them already that are built on Stellar. You just may not have heard of them so much because they don't have the advertising gusto yet, because they haven't yet found the magic thing that appeals. Now, what's interesting is the games themselves. If you look at what are the most popular games on crypto, well, guess what number 1 is? That's right. It's CryptoKitties, right? What? Yeah. And when you look at how many people use CryptoKitties in a day, for all the noise that it's managed to make, for all the crazy sums of money people have sold CryptoKitties for, whether they're for legitimate reasons or to launder money or for whatever the reasons, the amount of people that use CryptoKitties on a given day is less than 500 people, right? The average is like 480 or something. And it is, when you think about that, insane, right? 400 people, really? There's elementary school email lists that are larger than that, where people are active every day. But they talk about, I don't know, the clothes their kids need to bring to school for an activity, or the art project they're going to do. 400 people? What? Out of the 7 billion people on the planet, They may have, yes, they have many, many more people registered, but only around 400 people a day play it. That is insane. That is not, it's just not an active community, right? If you build a community on Telegram and you get 10, 20,000, 100,000 people on it, and they're active, and you have hundreds or even 100 or 200 people active at any given moment, you're already more popular than CryptoKitties. What? Yes, but you're not moving as much money as them. Other, other games aren't even moving as much, but they may be more popular, right? And others are moving far more, even though they're less popular. So it's all about numbers and averages and growth rates. And it also goes to show that the leading game in crypto is still tiny. It's still in its infancy. And if you think that you're getting into CryptoKitties now and it's too late, maybe it is overvalued, who knows? But you could also argue that with such a tiny population, it's either super overvalued because it never has any real growth potential, or if you believe it has growth potential, it is massively undervalued and you should be getting on board right away if CryptoKitties is your thing. I don't recommend any particular app or dAPP in this video, or definitely not any cryptocurrency. Like I said, I'm not here to advise you about that. I'm here to advise you about marketing methodologies and use cases that these companies are using, and the reasons behind it. And then if we look at the third biggest reason that people are using cryptocurrency today, what is the third biggest category of dApps? Anyone know? Anyone? The answer is not games, not regular games. It is casino games. That's right, gambling. Casino games are the third most popular game in development, game type, the third most popular decentralized app in development, and the second most popular game type in development right after non-gambling games. But if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Casinos have forever been early adopters, right? Casino and adult content have always been early adopters. And just as casino games are super popular in terms of developers and marketers who want to get something out on the road for cryptocurrency, and the casinos see this, and they've been accepting Bitcoin and altcoins for years, and now they want to start accepting other forms of currency and having their own currency be the in-app purchase token, etc. As we spoke about the non-gambling games, well, all the gambling games are doing the same thing, some slower than others, but many of them are doing it at an accelerated pace. There's already tons of Bitcoin and altcoin gambling sites. I remember during the World Cup, one of our clients was a World Cup based project that you could only bet on World Cup games using Ethereum, right? Fantastic idea for people who love the World Cup. It did actually allow other currencies to be used to convert to Ethereum, but the point is the payout was all in Ethereum and you were betting Ethereum. And there are more and more apps like that being built and distributed and growing quickly. And yes, while the biggest one is smaller than CryptoKitties, right, there are still hundreds of people going, small hundreds, low hundreds, every day and playing these things every day, but that is growing, right? 2 years ago, it was dozens. A couple of years ago before that, it was nothing because there was nothing. So we are still very much in the speculative area of this lifetime cycle of cryptocurrencies being part of the human experience, right? 10 years in. This is email before Pine. If you remember Pine, right? Pine is nearly Elm. That's what Pine stands for, P-I-N-E, right? Elm, for those of you who don't know, was an even earlier email program. And Elm itself was essentially not the first messaging system sent over the internet, but itself was considered such an early, when it was developed, it was like, wow, now you can send messages directly, very easily with an interface. Right? And then Pine came along and it was the interface made even easier. It was still all text, no graphics, but somehow it was easier because the commands were simpler and you didn't have to know certain programming language to use it correctly. You could just very much easily use the commands on screen to write, edit, delete, and send emails. And it was wonderful and very powerful, but not graphical. And then, right, visual emails came out. Microsoft Outlook had email, Netscape webmail, all these different email, AOL, obviously, Prodigy before that. They all had email services that starting to throw in graphics, right? And there's the CompuServe was throwing in images here and there. And you could do things on that scale. And those were, at first, the CompuServe and AOL and Prodigy, they weren't even on the internet, right? They were on their own networks, and they would allow you to connect to different things and different networks, different servers, bulletin boards in some cases. If you had a regular dial-up modem, you could get the bulletin boards, most of which were not graphical. Eventually, more and more became graphical, but not truly like we have today. And then, you got the evolution of Hotmail, Yahoo Mail, Gmail, and then all bets were off once everybody started making their own fully graphical interfaces with video and text and images, and these things evolved. Well, the same thing is happening in crypto, right? We're at a point where we're like at the infancy. If you're watching crypto, you're already ahead of the curve in terms of your knowledge, right? Versus the 99% of people who have no idea what the heck it is. Maybe they've heard the word blockchain or Bitcoin. Maybe they've even heard Ethereum, but I bet you they can't pronounce it yet, at least not very well. And I bet you they haven't heard of Zcash or, sorry, Zcash, if you're holding out there, no offense, but like the average user just hasn't heard of Monero or Cardano or Stellar or, XVG or all these other coins that really no one's heard of outside of the space, right? Very few people. The only people that have heard of it are people that with an interest in it, right? And so that means that if you're watching crypto, you're already ahead of the curve. If you're holding any crypto, man, you're really ahead of the curve. Now, you might think, oh, I missed my chance already. All those Bitcoin billionaires, they bought, when it was $1 and now they're all billionaires. Yeah, okay, maybe you missed that boat. That doesn't mean you missed all the boats to come. That one boat left the dock, right? And it still has potentially very far to go, depending on how you look at that. Same with the Ether or Ethereum. Maybe you believe Ethereum's already sailed and gone for good, and maybe it's already on the way down, and maybe you don't think as if who knows. There are for sure other cryptocurrencies that are going to make an impact on the economy and finance, and we don't know what they are. Many of them probably for sure don't even exist yet, right? And the same thing can be said for the dApps that they will be used in, right? Most of those applications just don't exist yet. We're waiting for them to exist. We're urging developers to develop stuff that are going to be popular dApps. As marketers, we're trying all the different ways to get cryptocurrency apps into the hands of people in heavy use, and more that is growing as there's more and more enthusiasm and understanding about how blockchain can be used and can affect the economy and the world. And it's not just a random, marketers hope this will grow because it's a potential way to do business. Hold on. Sometimes unexpected interruptions happen. I hope that wasn't too annoying to you. But in any case, when you look at the games by casinos that are in development, it makes a lot of sense that they're already pushing up, the third most popular category. Don't be surprised when you see that adult content, adult entertainment, whether it's gambling or other exotic stuff, remains super popular. But as other categories take over larger positions, adult will be essentially in the area that it normally sits. It will always remain popular with a subset of the population. It may not retain its number 3 position, at least not in the long term, but it will definitely have a strong position. One of the reasons is they are early adopters. They understand this technology almost as well or better than anyone out there in terms of the application of it. They are the early ones fighting for developing marketing strategies that work, how to attract people. They're gathering huge quantities of data on everyone using this stuff. Yeah, if you're using cryptocurrency and you think you're anonymous, you're not, right? You definitely not. And even if you are, the demographic data that's available in general across that entire population of people who are going to be using or who are using cryptocurrency is significant, right? We can already tell a lot about your interests, who you are, what age you are, what you're interested in, what you're clicking on, what you spend time on, what you bought recently. There's no shortage. Plus, anything you buy or sell or trade on the blockchain, guess what? It's on a public ledger, so everyone can see it. So marketing automation tools are grabbing that data and are infusing it into their own back end and saying, okay, this person buys these things and they're likely to buy these things, and we could potentially sell them these other things, right? And you can easily chisel that away by looking at their history, their current, and predicting their future with predictive analytics. I'm going to do another video soon about predictive analytics and some of the great tools that are out there. But for now, what I am going to say is, you've heard it all about why it is these three top categories are using crypto and why they are the leading three categories using crypto and why their marketing is the top crypto performing marketing strategy at the moment. Right? Each of them has their own specialty, each of them has their own area, but it makes sense. The early adopters of traders are in DEX. The early adopters of games are number 2, and the early adopters of casino games are right behind them, pushing up. What will the next categories be? That really is roll the dice and find out, right? You don't know yet because it hasn't happened. The likelihood is it will not happen today. It will not happen tomorrow, but it will happen in the near future. And whether that is a category that you find useful or not, as it grows in usefulness, that means that more and more people find it useful, whether you do or not. So bear that in mind. If you're a marketer, it's never about what you think is going to be popular. It's about what the data shows. It's about being on top of the learning curve, being ahead of the learning curve, and being able to implement what you know, right? Let's say this is the curve and you're on the, in your direction. Let's say this is the bell curve and you're out here on leading out front and you're pushing the edge of the envelope and you see things 2, 3, 4 years down the line, and you can go into a meeting with Vitalik or anybody, doesn't matter who, any of the top crypto people or any of the top business people, Jeff Bezos, doesn't matter who you're meeting with, you can explain to them what's to come, right? Well, you can't translate that into today's language that the average user will understand because they don't perceive that. So you need to be up on that edge for your learning and take that gap between the edge and the reality of the bell curve and find that bridge that makes you meet in the middle and gives you as a marketer the top possible performance you can get using cryptocurrency dApps. So that is the future of marketing for cryptocurrency. It doesn't matter what the category is. It doesn't matter what the dAPP is. You could be running a nonprofit dAPP and make it extremely popular. You could be running any kind of dAPP and make it super popular if you have the right marketing mindset and understanding of the difference in that curve and being that bridge, which is ultimately the role of every top marketer, is to be that bridge between what the developers and the product managers are creating and what the salespeople are selling. And you need to make the awareness a reality, and you need to make in the entire process of that marketing funnel a reality so that most people can easily and frictionlessly commit to buying from you, right? Okay, that's going to wrap it up. This episode is way longer than I thought it would be, but I hope you've learned something interesting here. And if you have, definitely tell your friends, tell your colleagues, like, comment, share, do all the cool stuff, engage, because it costs you nothing except maybe a second or a minute if you're writing a long comment. And it means a lot to me. That's how I know how anybody even cares about this stuff. By the way, we've got some really exciting episodes coming up. I don't want to say who, but there's some super important authorities in the blockchain space who are going to be interviewed on this very channel. I'm excited about that. and I'm looking forward to doing that. And until next time, take care.